Today, I had the opportunity to sit down with Alan Taylor. He's the author of Web3 Social and Crypto Social. He is exploring how creators and cryptocurrency are going to reshape the future moving forward. The internet is going to be impacted by some of the things we speak about. All his links are in the show description. I hope you enjoy the episode.
Ourselves to
Sorry.
the idea. Yeah, no problem. I think we're going to have to relegate ourselves to the idea that, we can't stop the bots. They're going to be there. And so if we can't stop them, it's sort of like we can't stop them,
Can't
join
beat him,
them
join him.
type thing. Yeah, you can't beat them, join them. We can turn these bots into profit uh, machines, right? Revenue channels or whatnot. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what's going to happen with platforms like Lens and Hive. When you're decentralized, there's no gatekeeper. Anybody can get on, do whatever they want. There's not even an attempt to stop the bots, right? Because there's no way to do it. We're just going to relegate ourselves to the fact that bots are there, and we either learn how to use them to our advantage,
Mm-hmm.
or we get left behind.
I I absolutely agree with the sentiment. And it's interesting. I think in your book, you mentioned that creators are, and this is, I believe I'm saying the same thing, just this user-generated content, that creators are going to be a massive driver of this Web3 ecosystem moving forward. Um,
Yeah.
do you have any glaring examples of people that are really handling this well and figuring out the meta early on and what are they doing? How do you find these things early? How do you become one of the first 100?
Yeah, I think you have to be well connected. You know, you're in on the blockchain forums, right? You're in on so whenever uh, you know there's a new platform launching on Ethereum, because you're on Ethereum, you're in the forums, you're well connected in the Ethereum community, you hear about it. Same with Solana, the same with any of the blockchains. You are one of the people. Maybe you have a Google alert set up for that blockchain. So
Mhm.
anytime it's mentioned, you're there, you hear about it. But more than likely, you're well connected with the players and the movers in that ecosystem, and so you hear about it and you jump on the bandwagon before anybody else can, before it goes public.
And now what I think is really interesting, and I think these kind of social experiments that they were really interesting always, right? Because it's just it's an insight to me into how the younger generation is deciding to utilize this technology. And what's really interesting is when we throw cryptocurrency into the mix, it just seems like a perfect partner for this. And do you believe that the cryptocurrency is really going to help drive interest and capture the attention of new people quicker than it might have had crypto not been involved?
That's $1 million question. So far, that hasn't happened. You know, this new space, the Web3 social media, has been around now for a decade,
Hmm.
and there hasn't been a mass explosion of interest. The real interest has been in the development side. Everybody wants to develop the next great thing. And so you got all these developers out there building this, building that, but the users haven't really shown up, right? And so everybody's trying to figure out, well, how do we attract the users? Well, maybe we let them sign up by email. Okay, well, maybe we promise them this, we promise them that. We make onboarding easy, and onboarding hasn't been real easy,
Yeah.
even for people within the space.
Yeah, the
I
natives.
try to, yeah, I try to sign up for some of these things. I'm like, man, this is not intuitive. How do you do this? Um, and so. Yeah, there's all these ideas out there. Well, we have to give them off or let them sign up by X or whatever. But it's we're still not seeing that mass wave of uh,
Adoption.
adopters
Right.
coming along. Switching from X to Hive or Mastodon or whatever. It's
Correct.
just not happening. So what and cryptocurrency is embedded in almost every one of these. So I don't think it's going to be the cryptocurrency that gets them there necessarily. I think
Okay.
what it could be is the realization that freedom of speech, no, censorship resistance. There is no gatekeeper telling you you can't say that, you can't go there. Once people get that into their heads, that could be a game changer. And so far, I think that message has been difficult to get out to
Mm.
people.
And it's interesting. We as far as the and I the AI sector, I think is when we talk about the bots and the ingredient of AI being kind of throughout all this stuff. I think I've been using this new platform called Deep State for about 3 days now. And Deep State is supposedly the Chinese version of ChatGPT. And at the moment, the consensus is that they created this open source ChatGPT version for about $5 million. And I've been using it for 3 days, and I find it I, more powerful than ChatGPT. And
Cool.
yeah, but what's interesting is watching the crypto and the stock just all drop on this news. I mean, we just saw President Trump offer $500 billion to Sam Altman and his group. And now China's come out and said, we have this out of the box product that costs 1/20th of the price to produce. And granted, the the production costs and the energy costs associated. Now the experts are saying possible the technicals don't make sense, and are the Chinese people lying? I, but we're at this point where the newness, right? I- are these things just going to be more and more prevalent where things become easier and easier to do? And I think we can also look at cryptocurrencies, right? I think in my report this morning, there were 48,000 cryptocurrency tokens created in the last 24 hours. That's one of the higher numbers that I've seen. I've seen it around 34, but 48
Yeah,
is
yeah,
amazing. And when I think,
yeah,
so we've got AI that comes out, now we've got AI that's powerful and cheaper coming out, very much like the cryptos, right? It's easier
yeah.
to put these things out. What I wonder about is what is going to be able to break through the noise barrier to actually propel somebody forward. Um, it, what do you think about the Trump investment, the $500 billion that they're talking about throwing into Sam Altman's Open AI, and literally the next day we get news that China has their version. So
Yeah.
what do you think about
Um,
that?
I, I get jittery anytime the government wants to get cozy
With big
with
tech.
a single private player. What's the purpose of it? And vice versa, when you have a company as ubiquitous as
Hmm.
Meta, for instance, why cozy up to the government? We saw Mark Zuckerberg do a complete 180 right after the election, right? Once Trump was the clear winner, oh hey, I'm sorry, we're changing our policy.
Correct.
We're going to take away the disclaimers, the human uh
Fact checkers.
agents the fact checkers.
Correct.
We're doing away with all of that. And, when did it happen? Right after the election, right? So, those kind of things make me nervous.
Okay.
So you have big tech and you have the government. both of which are more powerful as single entities than any of us, right? Even if we were somehow to um, uh, get a bunch of individuals together to kind of equalize the power dynamic, it'd still be very difficult to get enough people to equalize that power dynamic. And so when you get those two together, big tech and big government, on the same page, it's like there's just no way to win. So this is why I think it's important for us to have decentralized systems that, just don't allow these big, powerful agents to come in and tell us how we're going to do our business. Bitcoin is untouchable. It's the most brilliant thing probably since Gutenberg's press.
Right.
The government can't shut it down. You know that they want to. There have been people that have tried to come up with some way they can shut it down, but they cannot shut it down. It's just there, and you have to deal with it, and that's brilliant. When decentralization is truly understood, I think by the masses, the everyday Joes, who are busy, running their lives. They're working, they're, hanging out with their families. They don't have time to do all this research about this and that and see what's going on in the world, really understand things at a high level. When they finally get the picture that decentralization means I am more powerful as a single individual simply because of this technology, then I think we'll see that expand a little bit more. Same thing with AI. Technology typically becomes cheaper and easier to access over time. When DVDs first came out, those things were like $10,000, $12,000 for a DVD player. You couldn't afford it. But then a couple of years later, 3 or 4 years later, everybody had one, right? So that's the way technology goes. Once the early adopters get in with their initial investment, then the price comes down, they build more, they build them cheaper. Just imagine if you and I had the availability to create our own AI program uh, from scratch without having to know any code, and then deploy that AI on a social media platform that allows us to, protect our intellectual property, resist censorship, and earn cryptocurrency, which we can then convert to fiat money if we wish, or, reinvest into another crypto. That's a very powerful thing. And I see that day coming, and maybe 10 years down the road, but I do see it coming.
And so Alan, two things. One, I love that you said 10 years down the road because I've been in the tech sector forever. And it's, I love that statement because often being an early adopter and doing research and trying to, understand things at a higher level as soon as they come out, the things that excite me, I always feel like the youthful side of me thinks, oh, this is going to be everywhere in a month. But the mature side of me, like you, is I've grown to understand that things really take longer to hit the mainstream
Yeah.
in a profound way. And so that 10-year statement is interesting. Um, Caution, it's a wonderful statement, and I truly hope things happen quicker than that. But that's probably on par with the amount of time that it will truly take us to kind of work out the rifts in the water and just to really find the ability to set a smooth sail. When we talk about Web3 and adoption, can you talk to me about some of the I don't know, some of the challenges that you think Web3 is going to have to deal with when it talks about decentralization.
Yeah. There are a number of challenges. Uh, we all know about, misinformation. We know about, the potential for bad actors to come in and use technology. Web3 decentralization really, it doesn't have an answer for how to deal with, such things, right? So, we recently saw Ross Ulbricht, creator of
Hmm.
Silk Road,
Hmm.
was pardoned by President Trump. Uh, well, you know, he broke some laws, in what he did. He was not trafficking drugs himself. He was not doing anything directly illegal himself, but he created this platform
Hmm.
that allowed bad actors to use it to sell illegal items and do all sorts of things, and that's why he ended up going to prison. Now he had knowledge of those things taking place on his platform, and it was centralized, so he could have done something about it. But what if it's a decentralized platform and there's no individual or entity that can come along and say, we're shutting you down because you're selling firearms
Correct.
or trafficking drugs or doing something, could be even worse. What's the answer for that? And we don't really have a clear answer. Most of these platforms say, well, the community owns it or the community controls it. But that's really kind of vague.
Hmm.
Can you get 100,000 users all to agree that, yeah, we're gonna, set our targets on this, and flag it away? That's a really difficult goal to achieve. And so that's one of the big issues, I think, with decentralization, Web3.
And as somebody who's written extensively on these topics, where do you think Web3 could have the most immediate real world impact when we talk about social media?
Oh, yeah. So I think the most immediate real world impact would be on censorship resistance, because if you can go on a platform,
Hmm.
whether it's, Facebook, X, Hive, Mastodon, wherever, speak your mind. It may be a very unpopular opinion, but you have it. And there's nobody that can come along and take that away from you, and tell you, no, you can't say that, or no, we're going to shadow ban you. Nobody's going to see your post because we're going to tweak the algorithm to make it go away.
Correct.
We're just going to uh, take your account away from you and deplatform you or demonetize you. Uh, if those things can't happen, then you as an individual have much more power to speak your mind in a way that you can't currently do on legacy social media platforms.
Hmm. Interesting. Um, as far as X goes, and this is just kind of a side thought that I've been thinking about. I think that there was rumor, we still don't know where it stands, but the TikTok may have seen its better days. They may try and find new ownership. Whatever is happening in the lead up to all of this, before Trump got in, and if it was a Biden White House, I think TikTok would be gone already.
Yeah,
Um, I was watching Elon, and I truly think that he is attempting to put payment rails, all of the things that these other platforms have investigated. I think he's been watching on the sidelines, and at some point, I think X is going to roll out. I think he wants X to be the platform for absolutely everything. Um,
yeah,
do you think he's moving in that direction?
I do. He's been pretty open about it, actually.
Hmm.
Um, he isn't putting forth any specifics about how he intends to do that, but he definitely wants to make it an everything app. And he
Okay.
gets his
Yeah.
inspiration from WhatsApp, and so make it a payments platform. and a place to gather for what he calls the town square,
Mhm.
social media, making connections and networking. um, he's expanded the content guidelines to make for longer posts, so it can be a content um, publishing platform. So I do think he's moving in that direction. It's really difficult though to be everything to everybody, and so I think he has to be careful about what he implements, when he implements it, and how he implements it.
Mhm. He is a master at what he's doing, and it has been awesome to see him work. Now, in this evolution of social media and Web3, um, it's not a wildly popular thing, but I'm a huge fan of NFTs, always have been. I think they have yet to see their true light. What do you think about NFTs, and do you think that they are going to play a vital role in how we move forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a place for NFTs. I don't know that we've realized the potential for them yet. I'm not a huge necessarily. I wouldn't say I'm a proponent, but I'm not against them. And
Hmm.
so NFTs, I've played around with them. I haven't been able to capitalize much on them, but then
Hmm.
I got in on them kind of in the downswing.
Hmm.
So. I think there's probably another wave of NFTs coming, but there's so many different ways they can be used.
Hmm.
And I think once businesses
Correct.
tap into the commercial application of NFTs, then I think we're going to see some pretty wild uses of them in ways probably we never imagined. There's always loyalty points or loyalty programs that can be used for that kind of thing. That's kind of an obvious. Um, they've been used for token gating, for communities,
Hmm.
and for proof of attendance at events, and those kind of things. And so uh, once word gets out that the application is beyond just, hey, look, this pretty artwork
Correct.
that I can show my friends and use as my avatar, and somebody else can copy. Uh, yeah, you can copy it, but you don't own the copy, right? I mean,
Correct.
it's a copy of something that I particularly own. It's like taking a photograph of my
Sure.
vehicle. Yeah,
Sure.
cool. You got a photograph of my vehicle. I've got the vehicle.
Yeah.
Once word gets out about their wild applications and potential, then I think we'll see some renewed activity in that way.
Good. Which excites me just because I do think there's an interesting use case for him. And I, I think it's funny, and I haven't had this thought for a bit, but there was an so, I mean, when I think about the use of NFTs and digital identity, and for instance, when let's say you're older, let's say you have one eye. You might have a deformity. You might be wildly overweight. You could have a number of issues where your social appearance isn't your best foot forward. And all of a sudden, we introduce an NFT, which could be your digital avatar.
Hmm.
I almost look at that as leveling the playing field, especially in tech, because tech, I think when you get older, people have this idea that you don't understand technology. And
Yeah.
to be 50 and in the tech space, if I could mask that with an NFT, and now I my that my it's tougher to figure out exactly my viewpoint, but does that enable me to mix and match with many more people than I could have in my age group?
Yeah, in some ways you can do that without NFTs. I mean, I can always use an avatar that doesn't look anything like me. Nobody
Hmm.
knows unless I tell people my age and whatever I want to keep, private,
Private, correct.
then there's always the web has this way of making us anonymous, just by its very existence. So we've always had that ability since there was an internet.
Correct.
Um, I think what makes it more powerful, though, with NFTs is because you can have an NFT that that sort of catalogs those things that you want to keep private,
Interesting.
um, but does so in such a way that you can use them um, when you need to use them. For instance, medical information.
Hmm.
What if you had your medical history wrapped up in an NFT that no one could access without the proper
Authorization.
cryptographic protocol,
Yeah.
correct? And you wouldn't have to write to some, you know, agency to say, "Hey, release my medical records over to the." You have your medical records with you all the time. You have to be able to safeguard them,
Correct.
and that's where most of us probably are not in the habit of doing. We're not really in the habit of safeguarding our medical information because our pediatrician has it, or
Correct.
the
Correct.
hospital, controls that information. But as an individual, you should have the right to
All,
safeguard your own medical history,
I agree.
your driver's license, your identification, all of these things. You can store those in your digital asset. That is also your identification paper, you know, and it's a very powerful technology. So you can you can say, I want this part of my life to be private. I only want this person and that person have access to these parts of that. And so if you can segment it that way, that makes it a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
And I do think that's possible.
And I do look forward to just the continued investigation of these things because I like you, I don't think they have reached their potential. And I think there's
Battery.
untapped power and there's untapped potential in this ecosystem. The only thing, and it's funny, and you mentioned it when you talked about medical records and the ability to keep information private. And when I talk to, for instance, my mom and try and explain crypto to her, um, and this is going to get into my next question, but one of the things that even I think the older generation understands is the finality of crypto. And I think the fear for the older generation is if I make a mistake, it is irreversible. And with
Yeah,
that, I think there's a fair amount of fear. And if we're talking about our medical records or things that you do not want to get out, the fear is that if it does slip through the crack, it's out there forever. And so just
yeah,
like if you make a bad transaction or send money to the wrong wallet, there's no oops, I didn't mean to do that, or you can't call the bank. The fact that these things are peer to peer and decentralized and no central entity, they pose it like they're guarding over us, but they're charging us to be because I don't know. It's interesting, and it just makes me. I guess my question is what are the biggest misconceptions that you think people have about the Web3 space? And are these misconceptions some of the things that have kept it kind of on the back burner? It hasn't become ubiquitous.
yeah, yeah. Where I live in Texas, there's this very strong sense of, well, if I can't if I can't see it,
Hmm.
then it's not real. And I think people don't really understand the technology enough that they feel comfortable, um, even just playing around with it.
Hmm.
You get things like, well, is it real money? Okay, well, I point out to people, well, you can use it to pay your bills, you can use it to buy your groceries, you can cash it out into dollars if you want to hold them in your hand. So I think that's real money. Question is whether you want to use it for money or not. You don't necessarily have to because there are other uses for it, you know. Um, but one of the things that I hear a lot is, um, I don't want so and so spying on me. And because, everybody knows, um, their conversations on their cell phones are likely being, recorded
Monitored.
somewhere other, we know that, it's a surveillance device.
Mhm.
We um and so people are sensitive to that.
Correct.
And so you know, you, what I hear a lot is, well, I don't want, the government having access to my financials. And that's a real concern. And I agree with them. I always point out the difference between a central bank digital currency, which, President Trump just put the kibosh on,
Hmm.
um, at least for the next 4 years,
Hmm.
and, a decentralized, uh, currency like Bitcoin,
Hmm.
where, you know, the only way anyone is going to know what you're doing with your money with Bitcoin is if they're following your wallet movements, right? And then you have privacy coins, like Monero and
Hmm.
Dash. And so, um, I point out to people that there are multiple, multiple uses and that this is programmable. These are programmable assets. And so if you understand how something's programmed, then you can decide whether or not you want to make use of that, right?
And Alan,
Uh,
double click and just for listeners on the programmable aspect, just to help clear it up, if so people have an understanding of how that plays into this space.
yeah, so, when you think about what a digital currency is, um, it's really computer code. That's really all it is. It's code that tells this particular um, asset how it should behave.
Hmm.
What does it do when I do X? And so if I go into my wallet and say I want to send you, Chris, um, 5 Bitcoin for whatever purchase,
I would
for
love that.
whatever, yeah, hey, I'm just being a good friend here. I want to send you some money, boy, or I'm buying a house from you,
Right.
whatever. Yeah, I want to send you some BTC or ETH or Solana, whatever currency we decide to operate in.
Hmm.
Well, the program tells my wallet to send and your wallet to receive.
Correct.
And it's just a program, just like any other computer program. You tell it to do something and it does it.
Correct.
So how can we do that? We can do that in any number of different applications. Some programs allow the digital asset you hold in your wallet to earn a certain amount of interest over time,
Hmm.
right? Okay, so you can stake it, which is the term that is often used. And that's a very powerful thing. So now you have a savings account or a money market account or something of that nature where your digital currency is working for you. And you don't even have to keep an eye on it. Just check in on it maybe once a week or once a month or whatever. Um, you can program it to do other things. Maybe you program it to, um, you know, run your vehicle for you.
Mm.
If your vehicle is wired in such a way, You can use your vehicle to mine Bitcoin. So you're earning Bitcoin as you drive. So yeah, having the ability to do that or the knowledge to make that happen is a very powerful thing. And not everybody has that knowledge, but if you have a friend who has that knowledge and that ability, and you can work out an arrangement, you can leverage that. And so programs, just like we've been used to doing with our personal computers
Mhm.
for, 50 years now, um, you you can program it to do all sorts of things. And I think there's no limit. If you can imagine it, I think it can be done.
Correct. Yeah, it's exciting. And when we just because you do so much writing and researching, if we look at I think it's funny. I try and remind myself of the, and I'm reminding myself of this today as we're speaking. I think when I do my research and I write a Substack and I put out a bunch of content. I I'm checking myself today because I need to remember that onboarding is super important. And when you get knowledge in this space, I think the trick is to figure out how to share that knowledge with the next wave of people coming in. And with all of your research, what would you recommend for, let's say, a new creator that is coming into this ecosystem, whether they're coming from another platform or they're just trying to grow
Yeah.
from zero? Where
Yeah.
where are the new creators going?
Yeah, it changes from time to time. A year ago, people were heading over to Lenster or DSO, but that's kind of tapered off, you know. Um, I would say, yeah, look for a platform just like you have been doing for the last
Mhm,
20 years. Look for a platform that aligns with your values.
mhm,
Some people like Facebook, some people like X, some people like TikTok, for whatever reason. If you're good with video, maybe you like TikTok.
mhm,
You might like Instagram if you're good with your mobile phone, which I'm
mhm.
not. I'm not. I hate texting. I don't like doing the phones thing. I'm a Gen X guy, so I grew up with my laptop. I can type pretty fast. I'm a laptop monkey. So
Yeah.
for me, anything that allows me to write a blog post, shoot like you, I'm on Substack. Hive is
Mhm.
good for me because I can write a blog post. I can write a long blog post if I want to. Spruce it up with some graphic images. If I want to embed a video, I can do that. So look for those things that align with your values, your skills,
Mhm.
your knowledge, your understanding of the technology, and the ease of use, and that kind of thing. A lot of people are turned off by Hive because you got four keys, four cryptographic keys that each do a different thing, and you got to safeguard those. And some people don't understand why you need four keys. You can't sign up with your email, although now you can through a couple of the interfaces,
Mhm.
like in Leo, but before that you couldn't, and so that some people were turned off by that, and of course Hive also has a downvote, which some people don't like, and so
Is that similar?
um,
And I'm not
yeah,
super familiar with Hive. Is the upvote downvote, is that similar to like Reddit?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it's like a cross between perhaps Medium and Reddit, and so
Okay.
it's a social blogging platform with an upvote downvote feature, and so you earn based on your aggregate of votes,
Interesting.
upvotes and downvotes,
Interesting.
um, and so it's censorship resistant because there's no central technology, no central entity that says, no, you can't do that. There's no algorithm, you follow who you want to follow. And if you don't want to follow them anymore, you can unfollow them. So you are in control as the user. But if you're a small player on the ecosystem, and you have a tendency to shoot off your mouth and you take off a couple of whales, they
Right.
can download your content into oblivion, right?
Oh, they can.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so you do have to play politics a little bit, but if you're a reasonable person and you're likable and you're not just out there making waves because you can,
Hmm.
you can do well on Hive. I've done it, and I've proven that it's possible, and other people have proven that it's possible. So, but not everybody's into that. So, you just got to find what works for you. Do your research, figure out, which platforms do the kind of things you want to do, which ones are good for video, which ones are good for photography, which ones are good for music, which ones are good for writing, and that kind of thing, and pick one. I'd start off with one. I wouldn't go too far until I got comfortable with the technology,
Hmm.
but pick one, play around with it, see what it's capable of doing, and after you're comfortable with that, maybe explore a few other options. But take it slow and just learn the technology and use that opportunity to really learn the technology, the ecosystem. If you're new to cryptocurrencies, there are a few platforms out there where you can learn and earn at the same time.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, the evolution that we're seeing, it's it's one of the most exciting times. I mean, I watched the internet come out, I watched cell phones come out, and this convergence of AI and crypto and social media, these three ingredients kind of converging with the current administration, like to me, this is the biggest go opportunity. This to me, that I look at this as one of the biggest gold rushes that the next big gold. I don't see anything bigger. I mean, I'm probably missing something, but I literally think until we're headed to the moon or Mars, this is a huge, huge moment. It's a watershed
yeah,
moment for it excites the
it
shit
is.
out of me.
It is, and I think that the next 4 years are going to say a lot because current president is very pro crypto. He launched his own meme coin, right? And it just boom, shot way to the sky. Now, I'm not into meme coins. I didn't buy any Trump. Uh, and I don't worship him like some people do. So,
Correct.
I'm not watching his every move. But he is the president, and he does have his agenda, and it's very pro crypto. So the next 4 years are going to be very interesting, I think, for this space.
Too.
What is going to happen? What kind of innovations will we see? How high will Bitcoin go before it falls again?
Mhm.
Historically, we're on target this year for a major bull run.
Mhm.
Will that play out as it has historically? Um, yeah, I think it will.
Mhm.
Um, but how high will it go? And then when it comes back down again, how low will it go? And so I think we're looking at, like you say, the convergence of these three technologies: social media, cryptocurrencies, and AI, and we have not yet really seen a really successful integration of those three technologies, where they converge
Mhm.
and what can be done with them. And so that could be one of the major innovations that occurs during the next 4 years. Will there be a platform that can successfully pull these three technologies together
Right.
and really make a big difference? That would be a super exciting thing to see.
Yeah, we're on the cusp of magic. I wish I had the ability to put my finger on it. I know that we're getting close, and it's 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 mind blowing. And when I think about how quick the tech has changed in the last couple of years, um, do, do, do aliens have anything to do with this?
That's funny. I'm writing a novel right
Are you
now.
really?
Yeah, set in the very early stages of young Earth creationism. And so an angel comes out of heaven to investigate Abel's murder. So if you're familiar with the biblical
Sure.
story of Cain and Abel, then you know that just a few years after, the supposed creation, this first murder occurred. And so an angel comes out of heaven to investigate, hey, what happened here? And he goes off to the land of Nod, called Duodane in the novel, and runs into aliens and all kinds of weird things going on out there. So his investigation is broadened to what really happened, who was involved, and so so hopefully that's going to come out here in the next couple of months. But that's what I'm working on.
Brilliant.
And so you said aliens, are aliens involved? I watch these guys, the ancient alien theorists, and some of their ideas just crack me up.
Sure.
Creation of the pyramids and Stonehenge and all these ancient wonders of the world, and supposedly they did all that, and they taught mankind about agriculture and all this kind of stuff. So I appreciate your comment. I think it's funny, but who knows? Maybe aliens were involved. Maybe we're all descendants of aliens. Who knows?
Well,
I don't think so, but I think all of that's entertaining. So.
it's it's what's interesting is I do feel like we are closer to actual answers than
Yeah,
we've ever been. And so that to me is super exciting. Um,
yeah.
and as far as privacy goes, and ownership in Web3, do you think that the Web3 presents a better vehicle for the user? And that's why I think decentralization is great, because it's to me it's a
Yeah.
user focused mindstorm.
Yeah, 2 years ago, I would say definitely yes.
Hmm.
Um, I am getting a little bit concerned that Web3 is sort of going back to the roots of Web 2 and getting in bed with the venture capitalists. Just about all the new and innovative platforms that are launching are going to VCs to get their money. And I think when you do that, it's a different game
Hmm.
than shoestringing. I understand, development costs money.
Hmm.
You got to pay the developers. The CEOs and the innovators, can't eat out of tin cans forever. So, they want to get some payback. So it's a very tempting thing. But my concern with venture capital is that very often the venture capitalists are gaining access to the ability to guide and direct the technology in a way that will cause them to profit not only monetarily, but also in to guide that technology in ways that they could make use of it personally. And so when the VC has that much control over the direction of the platform and the innovation, then I wonder, is the original vision being lost,
Correct.
and is it being lost unfairly? Because if it isn't driven by user concerns, and I mean the average everyday user who's
Hmm.
going to be using the platform, um, then what is driving the innovation? So is it the money, or is
Correct.
it the founder vision, or is it the marketplace? And in a perfect world, I would say it's the marketplace. But very often, I think venture capital has its own concerns, and so
Hmm.
that does concern me about Web3 that we're moving in that direction. Otherwise, I think the innovations are really cool. I like to see new things happening, and I like to see user adoption rates go up, but I also want to see the platforms really focus on user experience. And in some cases,
Yeah.
I scratch my head and go, man, what were they thinking? This is not intuitive stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And you commented on it earlier that I think some of these ecosystems that you mess with, even being crypto native and understanding wallets and blockchains, if the UX and UI is not apparent for people that are in this space, I cannot even grasp how difficult it is for people that are unfamiliar with the idea of programmable anything. So,
Yeah.
and so yeah, the the this the the T the this convergence is really interesting to me. And when you're talking about the VC stuff, do you think DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, do you think these are going to impact the Web3 communities moving forward? Do you have any views on the DAOs?
Yeah, I think in some ways they already have, but like anything, you know, it sounds good on paper, decentralized autonomous organization, a whole bunch of people to get together. There's no control, we're all in this together. Let's build a community. Typically, what happens is the early adopters or some very enthusiastic individuals um, gain a strong foothold early on, and they sort of become the drivers of that organization, and sometimes they move it into a different direction than what it was originally. So you have sort of the same issue as you would with a VC. You have
Correct.
this powerful two or three individuals who got in early. They think they know what's best for everyone. Now they've accumulated that DAO's token, and they have a whole bunch of it. And so, with quadratic voting, they now have this huge power. They can put all of their token power into voting for something that the rest of the community is against, and still win. And so
And it almost
you have
becomes a
to.
centralized entity at that point,
Yeah, yeah,
you know?
exactly. And there have been some accusations of that happening with some DAOs, and so I do think that you got to have some checks and balances
Hmm.
in the DAO framework, and those need to be embedded in the framework. If it's all just based on votes, then whoever's got the most powerful votes or whatever the most powerful coalition of votes is, um, then that's going to drive the community, and in some cases that can be destructive to the DAO itself.
Correct.
And so there needs to be some checks and balances.
Checks. And you know what? The checks and the balances, those, and I think that's one of my favorite things about crypto is that the checks and balances, very similar to community notes versus moderation, it's consensus.
Yeah,
Community
yeah,
decides. And I think that is one of the most, in my view, one of the most powerful aspects of where we're going in this Web3 journey is that it's, yeah, like as long as the voting doesn't get screwed up, like it
yeah,
becomes a community initiative. And I think that in itself has a ton of power. Looking
yeah.
forward, what do you think the next major milestones are going to be coming down the pike?
Next major milestones. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a tough question because right now I see so many things in flux. And it probably really depends a lot on what happens in the next 4 years, but the next year in particular.
Hmm.
Because this is, the new administration's first year. They're pro crypto. We're due for a major bull run rally. Um, you know, kind of Bitcoin is sort of topped out at the moment at just
Hmm.
above 100K, but I think there's still room for it to explode even higher, go higher. Um, we still got maybe another 6 months, give or take, for this new rally to happen. And if it happens historically the way it has, then we're going to see another big rally before it goes back down. But what happens after that? Typically, the innovation happens in the downswing,
Mhm.
in the bear markets. And so, yeah, assuming that this bull market happens this year, which we're currently in the middle of, but Bitcoin has so far not fallen back down to its new floor.
Mhm.
It hasn't gone any higher than it has since its new all-time high.
Mhm.
Uh, so which direction is it going to go? If it plays out historically and it goes up, it's going to come back down. Where's it going to land?
Correct.
When is the bear market going to, where's it going to land? And then what happens with the innovation? Where do we go from there? And so, like we talked about earlier, incorporating AI with crypto, I don't think anyone has done that successfly
Mhm.
yet. I mean, AI is still brand new. It's fresh on the plate.
It
It's
really
just
is.
a couple of years, since ChatGPT 4 really became a thing. So that technology is going to get better. And assuming that it does in the next couple of years, um, how will innovators take that new technology, and it's as innovative as it is, and incorporate it into, crypto, social media, all the things that we like about the current internet, and take us to the next level. So beyond that, I don't really know uh, what other innovations could occur, because everybody's hyped up on AI right now. That's the
Yeah.
big thing. That's the big thing. And so when that initial hype dies down and everybody's used to this idea of AI being a thing, we figured out how to use it, what we're going to use it for, what we're not going to use it for. Then I think the innovators can come along and say, well, this is what the marketplace is saying to us.
Mhm.
And then that's where the innovation will occur.
And Alan, I truly feel like the aliens are going to be making themselves known. I truly do. And I had no idea that you were writing a novel on that either. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's awesome. And Alan, where are you in Texas? I live in Austin. I'm in Florida at the moment, but I'm also in Texas.
Yeah, I'm in Northeast Texas.
Awesome.
Yeah, about an hour's drive east of Dallas.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. And is there anything that you want to wrap up with? Do you want to plug your book? Like I'll mention all this stuff in the links and stuff, but is there anything that you want to throw out at us?
Yeah, we covered a lot in this hour. I think what I would say is anyone who's listening that uh, has sort of taken an interest in crypto, maybe you're not real sure about this crypto thing, but you're curious. You're curious enough, you want to learn about it. You just don't want to throw any money at it. I would say look for these
Interesting.
platforms. And I would start with this little platform called Publish Zero X.
Okay.
Publish zero number zero X .com. You can sign up with your email
Hmm.
and you can read the content for free. People write about crypto a lot. It's a platform for crypto lovers. You can learn about crypto and earn crypto just by reading. You don't even have to publish anything. Okay,
Oh,
you can,
interesting.
yeah, yeah, you can. It's based on a tip system, and so you like the article you read, you tip the user, and you get a cut of that tip.
Oh,
you know,
brilliant.
you, yeah, so the default is 80/20, but you can move it up or down. I want to hey, I like your article. I'm gonna give you the full tip, right? Or, hey,
Right.
I like this article, but not 80%, so I'm gonna take half of your tips. You know, it's one of those type of things. Uh, Start there, you know, just learn about it. Just
Yeah.
learn about it. What is decentralization? What does that mean? What are the benefits? And just learn what you can and earn while maybe you decide, well, it's not for me. You can leave your crypto in your wallet, never do anything with it, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
You didn't, um, it's just see it, look for it as like an opportunity. And then once you get familiar with it, then you can branch out, try a new thing. You know, buy my book, Web3 Social,
Hmm.
how creators are changing the World Wide Web, and you can too. Um, in that book, I explain everything very simple terms, what blockchain technology is, what crypto is, what the benefits are, features, downsides even, and then I talk about the platform.
Hmm.
Where are they? What are they? What can they do? And which ones, should you try? And even some case studies on things that have gone wrong, and so yeah, let that be your introduction, and
Okay.
then you can decide from there.
And it's funny when I look back, are you I, I have this feeling that this particular convergence of tech with the product market fit that we're getting from the White House, basically, it's I did not expect it, and two, I it excites me. It's like I live somewhere where gold was found in my yard. Like I am excited for the future, and do you share the excitement? Like do you think this is as earth-shattering as I do?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay.
I really am. I'm excited. I've got my eyes on a certain set of cryptocurrencies,
Mhm.
seeing, what are they going to do over the next year. I don't plan on selling Bitcoin anytime soon. I
Mhm.
think it's going to keep going up. It's got built-in scarcity.
Yeah.
Unless uh, you know, Michael Saylor pulls out and you know, the president's, Bitcoin reserve idea, goes into the trash heap. Uh, Bitcoin is not at any time going to crash, I don't think. And
Okay.
so, for that to happen, these billionaires that have gotten in on the game, buying, hundreds, thousands of Bitcoin and holding them on their balance sheets, unless they decide to get rid of that Bitcoin, Bitcoin's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I don't see that happening. So it's only going to go up until it doesn't. And there's another 100 years left on that train to ride.
Yeah.
So that should tell you where we're at. Uh, I just don't see it. Yeah, it's exciting to me. Will Bitcoin ever become an actual currency? I don't think that is the question to
Yeah.
ask,
Yeah.
because
Nor do I.
even if it doesn't, so what?
Yeah.
It's there. I see no signs of it going away anytime real soon. So why not explore that? And there are thousands of other cryptocurrencies out there that can be used
As
for
currency.
money for daily purchases. I've had people pay me, and as a freelance writer in crypto, I've received USDC, a stable coin.
Sure.
I've received Hive, which is not a stable coin, but I'm on the Hive platform. So hey, thanks a lot for the Hive.
Hmm.
I've used Polygon. I've been paid Polygon or different other currencies,
Sure.
ETH. So it's there. If you want it, I say explore. See what it's all about.
It is happening. We are here for it. Yeah. And Alan, I appreciate the time that you spent with me. Sorry about the scheduling. Yeah, I just enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, Yeah, well, thanks. I've enjoyed it too. It took us what, about three times,
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
you know, your mom and my mother-in-law, and
Yeah. Life
life
life is
life happens.
life will
Life happens.
yeah, life is going to continue
So
to happen.
yeah, we work around that, and we got together. I'm glad we did. I enjoyed it.
So am I. All right, listen, my man. I appreciate it very much. I will put, yeah. So two things. One, please send me an email with all of your links, and also
Huh?
let me know when the alien story is going to come out, and when can I get my hands on that?
Yeah, I will. The easiest way for you to find out is to join my Substack.
Okay,
Um,
I will do that.
yeah, and you'll be on my list. And at some point, I'll put a call out for early readers. And if you want, you can be one of the early readers
I
and
love it.
provide me some feedback. And yeah, I'm doing this sort of build in public, but also in phases. So I plan to have alpha readers, the people who read the
Sure.
book before it goes public, tell me what's wrong with it, that kind of thing. And then eventually it'll be a public launch. But definitely want to get some early feedback from people. Tell me how can I improve this? And
I love it. Listen, once again,
yeah.
my friend, I appreciate you taking the call. I'm glad we got to catch up.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, enjoy your day, my man.
Yep, you too. Bye bye.
Bye.